Hello out there. Do you think your mother tongue is the greatest of all languages? That there is no other language like that in the whole wide world? But you know what? Your neighbor also thinks the same thing about his own language. So, what say? Today, let's discuss all these great mother tongues and settle this issue once and for all. How's that? So, watch my video and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, as always, your comments are most welcome. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Gut Feel. Many years ago, a young man whom I will call, say, Srinivas, joined our New Delhi office on a voluntary transfer from South India. Sharp and knowledgeable, we expected him to be a good performer and rise quickly in our recently opened branch office. Unfortunately, Srinivas did not know a word of Hindi, which in Delhi was a big disadvantage at that time. To top it, Srinivas refused to learn the language despite our many entreaties and willingness to tutor him. He was angry that the central government had sought to impose Hindi on the South on past occasions, and also because he thought quite weirdly that these Hindi people don't want to learn South Indian languages, so why should he learn theirs? All our attempts to reason with him were of no avail. Consequently, the mundane activities of daily life ended up becoming difficult for him, from commuting to making friends to buying groceries. Outside the office and inside, people tended to lapse into Hindi at most times, and conversations with Srinivas became a bit uncomfortable. Unfortunately, he started being left out from casual workplace friendships and events, though he really was never ill-treated. He just couldn't blend in. His enthusiasm waned and it showed in his work. The last I remember is of a bitter and disillusioned Srinivas preparing to transfer back or already back in Chennai without any promotion or increment and still without knowing a word of Hindi. But his opinion of the Hindi people was, however, cemented forever. Pew Research Center conducted a survey on Indian society and published their survey results recently. Today, I would like to focus on a specific finding of that survey. Apparently, according to a large section of the survey respondents, a great part of being Indian has to do with the ability to speak Hindi. Now, as per the 2011 census, only about 43% of the country speaks Hindi as a first language. So basically, what the survey says is that the Indianness of about 57% of India's population living in about 57% of the country's area is now slightly questionable, depending on how seriously you take the survey, of course. In 2019, Mr. Amit Shah, our Home Minister, stirred up angry reactions in South India when he encouraged the use of Hindi as the single unifying national language. Mr. M.K. Stalin, who was president of the DMK at that time, the party which led the anti-Hindi imposition agitation in 1960s, was quick to fire off a rather imaginative response. Imposing Hindi on Tamil Nadu would be similar to throwing stones at a beehive. My local corner store owner, who is probably a school dropout, speaks 4 languages and told me that his mother tongue was like his mother. And while he was willing to learn any language, he would not accept any compulsion to do so. The words he used to colorfully express himself left me absolutely in no doubt about the intensity of his feelings. See, the above examples obviously highlight how fierce Indians are about language and mother tongue and how critical language is to even the feeling of nationality and Indianness. The internet teems with examples of language conflicts in many other states and regions. India's complex society is like a preheated oven at most times. not only in terms of climate, and the four main menu items of religion, caste, politics, and language are perennially in keep warm mode, ready to be served, and no notice is required. In a country as linguistically diverse as India, the topic of language always triggers highly intense, emotional, and passionate responses from different quarters. Even so, I am always taken aback by the vehemence with which most people support what they call their mother tongue. Different claims are made to prove the superiority of their own language. These range from being the oldest to the richest, the holiest, the most computer friendly, the most royal, and even the most divine. A colleague scornfully told me that his mother tongue was spoken and handed down by the gods themselves, while another said his language had been spoken by royalty since times immemorial. Yet another colleague stated that he was honoring a particular language by learning it. All such pronouncements are usually delivered as self-evident facts without any need for proof and with ill-concealed contempt for mere mortals like me who don't appreciate the language being discussed. I know in many states in India and abroad, Indians are so fanatical about their language that they will neither converse with you in any other language nor allow you into their personal and professional circle unless you speak their language. I remember a couple of years ago, people were quarreling over which language belonged to the eminent singer, our late Sri S.P. Balasubramaniam or SPB. Was he a Telugu because he was born in Andhra Pradesh? Was he a Kannadiga because most of his songs seem to be in Kannada? Or was he a Tamilian because apparently the best of his songs are all in Tamil? Recently, Google stirred up a major controversy when its search engine identified Kannada as the ugliest language in India. It triggered a severe social and legal backlash, and Google had to hastily apologize and remove the search result. But I am really confounded as to why somebody would search something like that. Why would he want to know the ugliest language in India? It really beats me. One frequently hears people saying how proud they are of being of this or that mother tongue. And I keep wondering, one can be proud of something one has earned or worked to obtain. As a Tamilian, I can legitimately claim a little pride for having learned Gujarati or Marathi or even English. But how can I be proud of being a Tamilian? I was just born that way. That would be like saying that I am proud of the money that I had inherited. To me, language is like a smile, the shortest distance between people, as they say. I do not view any language as sacred or even special in any way. It is critical as a means of communication, or more precisely, as a means of information exchange, just like a currency is for goods and services. Nothing less, but nothing more either. Then why do people obsess so much about a language? Language, like money, is what language does. And just as having the local currency of a place is a great advantage and often mandatory, so is knowing the local language. It takes the sweat off routine activities and thus eases daily life. Knowing many languages is like having many currencies in your wallet. It just sets you free. A language forms over a long period of history. It thrives, evolves, and becomes rich in its literature and the arts in direct proportion to the number of its speakers and exponents, and not because some special blessings have been bestowed on it. Ancient kings may have well spoken it, but it has probably evolved so much over time that even they would need a translator now. People should treat human languages as dispassionately as they treat electronic ones, like Python and Java and other computer languages. These are continuously evolving or being replaced by better ones. Nobody gets hysterical when they do. In fact, youngsters today are enthusiastic about learning new computer languages and even come up with their own social media lingos with acronyms and or emojis that nobody else understands. Enthusiasts are always trying to invent a single human language that can eliminate the need for all other languages. In my opinion, people need to stop being so emotional about their own language and be practical instead, learning languages based on societal or personal necessity. In the US, Indian parents insist on children learning their mother tongue and even compel them to attend classes, knowing fully well that they will never use it or need it ever in their lives. Yes, knowing any language is great, but barring an interest on the part of the child to pursue it, it is going to be forgotten soon. Why not learn, say, Spanish instead? After all, the US has the largest population of Spanish speakers in the world after Mexico, and there are 20 Spanish-speaking countries in the world. Will that not be more useful? The spread of a language is essentially organic in nature and cannot be mandated on a society. A prime example is Hindi in South India. Actually, Hindi is already understood and spoken all over the region, thanks to the popularity of Bollywood and a highly mobile migrant working population. Many North Indian immigrants in the South speak the local language fluently and vice versa. Well, I may be mixing metaphors here, but given time, the required language will automatically gain currency among the people without compulsion or even evangelism. The problem is that governments always want to impose everything immediately, and in doing so, they end up igniting and building resistance to a language. In time, migration and the intermixture of the population will achieve what they cannot by compulsion. There is no practical reason why Hindi needs to be imposed to unify the country. If a country depends on a particular language to feel a sense of unity, there is really something else that is wrong. If there is a compelling need for Hindi or any other language across the country, never fear, in time it will be spoken. Another example, ironically, is that of a foreign language, English, that has quietly become the lingua franca not only in India but all over the world. That is precisely because it is immensely practical and fulfills the need for a single language in an increasingly diverse world community. It grew organically to become the most spoken language in the world. Nobody needed to promote it or impose it. In many Indian cities, you may not know the local language, but you can get by with English because everybody speaks a smattering of it, however bad. That is because English does what a good language is supposed to do. It makes human communication and interaction easier. Nothing less, but nothing more either. For me, the best language in the world is the sign language. It makes the absence of something as elemental as sound immaterial to people, millions of people across the world. What is a better means of communication between human beings? I think you should think about it. Thank you and good night.